According to A. N. Pike, scholar of Greek culture and history, there were five main values lauded by the Greek people and their culture. The first was intelligence. Though it was not required of women, boys went to school and learned at home until the age of 6 and learned until 14. Boys were trained in arts and citizenship, peace, and war.
The next value was glory, what we now call fame. Boys yearned for notoriety. That came from the glory and victory of battle. Third was hospitality. The Greeks helped their fellow man. Homer in particular dictated the importance of hospitality in the Odyssey. Ancient Greeks were hospitable even when they did not want to be, offering food and shelter to travelers without question.
Loyalty, therefore, was perhaps the most influential value, embedded in everything that the Greeks did. They believed in loyalty to the family, community, and more importantly, to the gods. But the myths, the stories of gods, heroes, and men, incorporated other values, those of common decency that taught people how to be good to one another and uphold morality. These are just some of the many myths that contributed to the Greek folklore that would last for eternity.
Picture this. It is early morning. The sun is shining bright and you are Phaethon, who wants nothing more than to show your friend that your father will let you drive a chariot all by yourself. You end up persuading Apollo to let you drive the chariot, but you face a conflict. You lose control of his horses. You don't have enough power to pull them away from Earth. Your horses come too close to burning off the roofs of houses and killing others, and your main adversary is Zeus. What happens is that Zeus strikes you with a lightning strike, and at this moment, you realize that you have messed up. But then you don't have time to think anymore. It is a story of catastrophe, disobedience, foolish pride, and it teaches us that being careless can drastically affect your life. Yeah.
Today I'm here with Greek expert John Kick on the story of Phaethon. Please tell me about the story or the value of the story.
The true value of the story is being careless and boastful.
Can you please explain in a little bit more detail?
What I mean by this is Phaethon is a little hubris, and that led to him making a big mistake.
Do you think Zeus was right for killing Phaethon?
I think Zeus had every right to kill Phaethon. Things got out of control very quickly, and it could have caused a ton of harm to Earth, and it could have been really bad than what it has been.
Okay, thank you for your time, John.
It was
It works.
Picture the unthinkable. Hercules, a demigod, is tortured by Hera, tormented and snatched. He kills his entire family. After this tragedy, Hercules feels guilt. He goes to a king and gets assigned 12 of the most difficult tasks, the 12 labors, in order to feel a sense of relief. Even as one of the strongest, if not the strongest man in the world, these tasks were nearly impossible.
The Nemean lion was a lion from Nemea. And in order to kill him, you have to use a claw from his toenails. And then once that was done, you skin them with that same claw. It's kind of violent, bro. Not gonna lie. But the thing was dead, so when he was a slave, he was a slave because he killed his wife and his kids, bro. That's not cool. So then he went to this King Eremetheus, I think. And So he was this king, right? You feel me? So like at this king thing, watch, he did the 12 labors. And then, like, once he did them, he was free.
Something like.
Imagine a story in which an outcasted girl and respected prince fall in love. An epic ancient Greek myth where the two will hunt monsters and defend the kingdom. The girl would have to battle in a race to see who will become her husband. It is a story of romance, tragedy, and action-packed adventures. It teaches us that only the strong can prevail.
In this episode of The Gods Changed the World, we will look at the heroic story of Atalanta and cover her well-known love story between Meleager and Hippomenes, how they met, how they fell in love, and how the story played out. We will also look at the story of the hunt that took place in the name of their love.
The hunters used arrows and spears against the great boar, but without much effect. However, due to the enormous persecution, the beast began to run out of breath. Atalanta shot an arrow directly into the monster's eye, which screamed in pain. Meleager celebrated the great shot of his hunting partner, who reciprocated with a smile. Tired, the animal gave up running. He stopped and tried to scare away the dogs that were chasing him. Meleager came down from the horse, with his spear in hand, carefully heading to the animal. When he identified the perfect opportunity, he attacked the boar with his spear. The blow was lethal, and the animal fell in agony. The prince took his sword and cut off the boar's head. Meleager delivered the head of the beast as a gift to Atalanta.
Then, we will look at the tragedy of her late, soon-to-be husband Meleager and see how the grief affected Atalanta and her life after we find out how he passed.
The news reached the palace, and the queen, horrified by her son's attitude, decided to throw the wood into the fire. She also cursed her son for committing that crime against his family. Disillusioned, she grabbed a knife and buried it in her heart. Away from there, Meleager began to feel terrible chest pains and fell into the arms of his beloved Atalanta. She saw the young man suddenly agonize in her arms. After the flames consumed all the firewood, Meleager gave his last breath and left for the kingdom of Hades.
And lastly, how she took the opportunity to hold a race to find her new husband.
The run started, and Hippomenes was ahead. Atalanta was not concerned, because she knew that he wouldn't keep that pace for a long time. Hippomenes started to lose his speed, and the young girl was about to take the lead. And so, Hippomenes dropped one of his apples on the ground. Atalanta was impressed by such preciousness and bent down to pick it up. The boy had now an advantage. After picking the apple, Atalanta started to run even faster. The finishing line was close, but Atalanta managed to get close to him like an arrow. When the young man was finally getting overtaken, he dropped another apple, and Atalanta couldn't resist the irresistible urge, which forced her to bend down and pick it up. And so, Hippomenes crossed the line in the first position. As promised, the king had to allow the marriage of his daughter with Hippomenes.
In the end, we will look at the morals of the story. We will find out how women can do and perform as equally as men in any circumstance, and how only the strong can prevail.
This is a story of Perseus who flies through the sky with winged sandals to capture Medusa's head. As he landed, he came up behind Medusa and cut her head off. Then he returns to his home island to find his mom in the hands of King Polydectes. He gets so angry at King Polydectes and turns everyone to stone using Medusa's head because his mother is held captive by King Polydectes. Perseus then got the head and gave it to Athena, and then after that he chucked it into the sea. It is a story of adventure, of violence, and of terrifying murder, and it teaches us that we should always do what you say you're going to do. This is the story of Perseus and him using Medusa's head as one of his advantages. This is a clip of Medusa fighting Perseus.
Imagine a story in which you embark upon a glory-filled adventure to prove your strength. Tasked with multiple different challenges, you have to make it through a deadly road filled with trolls as tall as trees and prove your strength with a fight to the death against a livid half-man, half-beast. It is a story of dread, thrill, cunning plans, sharp wit, true strength, and it teaches us to protect others if they can't protect themselves. This is the story of the demigod Theseus. Not so much of a strong boy, he had visions how to use his strength, and he learned how to use his strength, and he felt invincible. Now on to a video from the History Channel.
The myth of the Minotaur and the truth behind it. A heavy door clanks shut behind you. A dimly lit maze of corridors lie ahead. The stench of death hangs heavy in the air. You are trapped in the labyrinth of the Minotaur. And there is no way out.
The story of the Minotaur was a horror story for the ancient Greeks.
The labyrinth was a chamber of death. Those that got locked inside of it knew there was only one fate, and that's to be devoured by a horrible, ravenous, man-eating beast.
This half man, half animal would rip you piece to piece and consume your flesh.
The Minotaur is the
A story in which a peasant girl challenges the goddess Athena in a weaving contest. The peasant wins, and in a playful situation, gets turned into a spider. This is a story of pride, disrespect, and life-changing humiliation. It teaches us that disobedience kills.
And Grace, and you are Icarus, who wants nothing more than to fly. Flying was your dream. You yearned for it, but you faced the conflict. Your wings are fragile, made out of wax.
and you don't listen to the word of your elder. Your main adversary is Daedalus. Daedalus gave you the gift of wings made out of wax and feathers with one rule. Don't get too close to the sun, and don't get too close to the ground. But being the boy of curiosity you are, you choose not to listen. It is a story of ambition, curiosity, and regret, and it teaches us that we must never disobey our elders.
All of these values have led to extant stories that are celebrated not only in Greece, but throughout the world. Since their conceptions, authors and movie producers alike have published such movies as Hercules, Clash of the Titans, and titles including the Percy Jackson series, as well as many famous poems and stories. With that being said, this is the 9th grade documentary. I hope you enjoyed it.